Welcome to an all-new episode of Her Playbook presented by Kendra Scott. Game day just got personal. Find your winning look at Kendra Scott, where team spirit meets personal style. Shop jewelry, accessories, and more at your New York area Kendra Scott store or online at kendrascott.com. My guest today, I am thrilled to be joined by a three-time Olympian, an American track and field athlete specializing in the high jump. Please welcome to the show, Vashti Cunningham. Thank you so much for joining me today, Vashti.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm so excited to talk to you. And we got to start with some, recent news. Obviously, you recently jumped a season best 1.97 meters to win the 2025 Track and Field Outdoor Championship in the high jump. This marked your seventh national title, earning you a trip to next month's Worlds in Tokyo, Japan, which is incredible. I know this season has had a lot of ups and downs for you, but how rewarding was that moment?
That moment was just a blessing. The season started out really slow. It's been a rough one at that, I can say, but I think that being able to jump the standard at the World or at the US Championships was just a huge moment for me.
Yeah, and you mentioned jumping the standard and how much adversity you've gone through this season. Talk a little bit about kind of the differences that you've seen in your own performances this year as opposed to years past.
I often joke with my friends this season. They're like, "How's your season going?" And I'm like, "This has actually been my worst season as a professional, in my career. I'm used to jumping the standard at the first competition of the year and then like playing it safe throughout the rest of the season, knowing that I'm secured. But this has just been a little bit of a different season. I think God has definitely matured me throughout this season and shown me that I need to rely on him rather than my own ability. But getting the standard at that meet was like such a prime thing for me to do for my encouragement and just moving forward to know that like just because the season started out slow doesn't mean it's going to finish slow.
Right. And I mean, that's got to be such an incredible mental challenge for you as an athlete, as somebody who's used to challenging your body physically, going through that mental challenge and that mental adversity of navigating, okay, I'm somebody who's used to performing at such a high level and who's used to kind of my expectation is the standard, and now having to strive to achieve that is a different game a bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. The mental aspect of it all has been an uncomfortable space for me to navigate. I've never really experienced unsuccess so consistently in my career until 2025. And it's really taught me to just shift the attention to God and what his intentions are and what his word says about how he knows exactly what we're going through and how he's concerned for us. And so that's been like my only peace throughout the whole season is knowing that he knows where I'm at and that every good and perfect gift comes from him.
Now, you are no stranger to the athlete mentality. Your family is very athletic. Your mom was a ballet dancer. Your dad, Randall Cunningham, played 16 seasons at quarterback in the NFL. Giants fans very familiar with his tenure with the Eagles. Having that mentality and that environment to grow up in, how do you think that shaped you as an athlete?
I think that it's shaped so much of me and the way that I think, the way that I train, the way that I recover mentally from certain things. I definitely use my dad as much as I can from his past experience to what even what he goes through now, because his your career never ends. Just because you're not playing or you're not competing doesn't mean that your legacy ends. And so he's taught me so many things about when he was at the top and he was starting and he was playing, shifting to when he was benched and shifting to when he was booed by his own crowd. And so there's just so much that he's taught me through the years of like dealing with fans and dealing with media and also staying sane at where I am actually in the midst of all of it.
Your dad, I know, travels with you quite a bit and coaches you as well. What's that dynamic been like?
It's definitely been something that I've had to mature to find my true gratitude for it. You know, when you're 17, 18 years old and you're planning on going to college and then you just turn professional and realize like, oh, I'm gonna be home. I'm not gonna get away from anything or have my own time to grow as my own individual in a new state. It's definitely been something that was like a learning curve for me. I've always been with my dad and traveled with him, but it was different when I graduated high school and I'm starting to make money and I'm still listening to him try to like, okay, you need to be home at 9 p.m. and you need to focus like this. You don't need to be doing this. You don't need to be doing that. And I'm like, look, if I were in college right now, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to tell me all these things. And so just over the years, this is my now ninth year as a professional. Over the years, I've really un got to understand that it's truly a blessing to be able to travel with my dad and to just spend the quality time that we do together.
Yeah. Well, and it's of course too when you see him, he's your dad. I mean, sports fans zoom out and like, this is the guy who was throwing Randy Moss touchdown passes his rookie year. This is the guy who played for the Eagles for so long. You're like,
Yeah.
this is my dad. I don't want to hear what he has.
Yeah.
Which I get, that's such an interesting dynamic. You mentioned too, foregoing college, you turned down both volleyball and track and field scholarships to go pro. Um, Immediately got a deal with Nike and got that done. How hard was that decision for you, or was it hard?
It was a little bit more difficult for me than it was for my dad and my mom. I think my mom was in the direction of like, whatever you want to do. But I really, really loved volleyball. And I really had dreams of just leaving Vegas, going off on my own and just being able to be in a program. And so it wasn't like an extremely hard decision. My dad put it on the table. He was like, you can either make money now or you can make money in 5 years. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to make money now. And looking back at it, I sometimes miss volleyball, but I would never go back and try and change anything about the way that God brought this opportunity for me.
Yeah, you've had so many unique experiences through it.
Yeah.
And, a lot of athletes will say, okay, I'm going to do this now while I can and go back and do school later in life, which will always be an option. I want to talk about your Olympic experiences. You've been to the Olympic Games three different times, in Rio in 16, in Tokyo in 21, and Paris most recently in 2024. But Rio, that one really stands out. Such a unique experience. You were 18 years old, the youngest U.S. track and field athlete to make the team.
Mhm.
What was that Olympic Games like for you, and was that what you expected?
That was an experience for sure. I had no real experience of being on a world's team before. I didn't even really know that I could have qualified for that. It just like kind of happened early in the year. I had a moment of success with the World Indoor Championships where I was not even really looked at as somebody who could have won until the week before when I had the US trials for that. I ended up winning and getting the standard and then being invited last minute to come back and jump with the for Worlds. And I ended up winning and I had no idea how big that would have been in that moment or how it would have impacted my career as a high jumper. And so going to the Olympics was something that I was just hearing throughout the year. But when I got there, I was so young, I was so shy. I didn't know a single person besides my roommate, which was Sydney McLaughlin, and we were both the youngest on the team. And I just remember like we were just like two kids in this big world, and we didn't know what to do, what to expect, who to talk to. And that was something that I remember because I have been now twice since then, and every experience is different. I remember like taking these long hour drives to go hang out with my family because I would just stay in the room all day. And then I remember the competition. The competition was crazy. The bar came in higher than I've ever came in a competition. I want to say it came in at maybe 6 feet or 6'1", and that's usually like my second or third jump. So it was just a crazy experience, but there's one moment that I think about from that competition, and it was the prelim round. I had two misses, and I had one more attempt to make the height to go to the finals. And I hurt my ankle like the second jump, and I had one more jump left. And I came and I looked at my dad, and I was shaking, and I was so scared. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make this. And I had all the pressure of everybody telling me, like, you're gonna be the youngest gold medal. And he was just told me, he looked at me and he was like, trust God. And so I just took everything out of my mind and I went and I jumped and I made it into the finals. And I was just like, I don't even know what to do after this. I felt like I won the competition and I had a whole nother day of jumping, but that was an experience that I'll never forget.
That is incredible. And I mean, what an incredible moment, too, of just a test of your mental strength and your
Yeah.
fortitude in that of saying, I don't know if I can push on. And, whether people are competing in Olympic Games or just overwhelmed with life and moments,
Yeah.
there's those moments that we all realize where we think, can I handle this? Can I take this on? And you just got to push through and just trust, like, I'm okay with whatever the outcome.
Yeah.
What an incredible experience. Now, you mentioned the standard often for fans listening to the show or for listeners out there who are maybe not as familiar with track and field lingo. What is the standard when it comes to high jump?
Okay, so there's a standard for every event. For the sprints, you need to run a certain time to even be qualified to make it to the Olympics or to the World Championships. For high jump, you have to jump a certain height. For the women, 197, I'm gonna just say it's 6 feet 5 because I don't know what the change is.
Hmm.
But that's like a very high standard. There's not many women in the US who jump 6 feet 5. I'm one of two women who have the world championship standard. The other woman's high jumper is actually not competing right now. So I'll be the only one from the US going with the standard. But it's like the aim. That's where you aim, you look at that height for the whole season and you try to achieve that just to have the weight off of your shoulders. Because if you don't achieve that, then it goes down to a point system. And that all matters about what type of competitions you're in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just kind of fluctuates each time and each
Yeah.
competition, and it puts a little bit more pressure on some of the more nuanced moments. Now, your first Olympic Games, you mentioned you were kind of bright-eyed and not quite sure what to take on there. As you became more of a veteran in this space, how did your role with, Team USA and also with the way that you approach these events evolve over the years?
I think that my role kind of shifted a little bit. I mean, I'm still like a really shy girl when it comes to these big competitions and team events. I feel like since I didn't go to college, I missed out on meeting a lot of the professional athletes and just knowing everybody when you come into the professional side of it. So I'm a little bit shy when it comes to being in the big group settings and in the team meetings. Like I sit with the same people or I sit by myself. So that role kind of never changed. I never became like the team captain or anything as of yet.
Yeah.
And then moving forward in the competitions, I feel like just being able to see the girls that I jump against from Europe, the girls from Australia, over the course of time and like getting to know them outside of the competition has just made me so much more comfortable as I compete against them. Not like I get out there and we're talking and painting nails or anything like that, but I look at them and I'm like, we are going through the same thing. We have all of the pressure that this is the biggest competition. The whole world is watching the Olympics, and it's good to see a familiar face out there.
Yeah, yeah. That is a huge stage because it is literally the whole world watching. I mean, you'll
Yeah,
hear guys when they win a Super Bowl say we're world champions, but this is
yeah.
quite literally on the world stage. It's a whole another ball game. Now, I know, we talked about how much your dad is such a support and a coach and a presence, and it has, followed your track and field career. How much do you remember about following his football career? Are you a football fan still? And did you, what were some of your favorite memories growing up around that environment?
Yes, I definitely remember going to some of the games when I was younger and just seeing the way that people light up when they saw him and when he would stop and sign or stop and take pictures and just the impact that he had on the fans and on people. Like he still has that impact. When we came to Miami, we were getting our rental car and we were checking out. And the guy who checked us out just lit up with like the brightest eyes. And he was like, I was telling my kids about you. And I just look at my dad and like not try to give him too much attention. But I'm like, okay, like you still got it. Yeah, I'm like, you're that guy. But it was definitely different growing up. Like I was young and I didn't go online and watch his highlights all the time because I had him coaching me and I had him just raising me and my brother at the time.
Yeah.
And so I definitely didn't understand until I got to about like middle school just how incredible what he was doing was. I'm still a football fan. I don't know if you want to know who my team is because I see all the Giants stuff in the background.
I mean,
I'm,
you gotta
I'm
say it.
definitely an Eagle.
All right, all
Yeah.
right. I mean, this is fair. This is friendly
I'm
fire.
like, it's expected.
I mean, you've got to be. Your dad spent the majority of his career there, a lot of memories there. That totally is fair.
Yeah.
Um, and listen, the Giants and Eagles play twice a year. We'll have fun with it.
Yeah, maybe I'll see you out there one of these days.
Exactly, exactly. It's got to be such a unique experience. And I can imagine too, you're so young. And again, you're like, this is my dad. And it's not until you see it through somebody else's eyes,
Yeah.
the guy giving you the rental car or the people lighting up when you see him. And you're like, wow, this is the reaction to the guy who, we're having dinner every night and
Yeah.
he's making sure I'm doing the best in terms of my own homework and athlete and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As you have grown and evolved, not just as an athlete, but as a young woman and all that, what are some of the things that you wish you could tell your younger self? Some piece of advice that you've learned at this point in your career that you think, wow, had I known that when I was 16, 18, just getting started on this journey, how beneficial that would be.
Something that I would tell my younger self. I think that I would tell my younger self that the weight of what everybody is saying does not change like who you are and what God has for you, the plans that God has for you. I wouldn't say that I was ever somebody who really cared what people had to say, but definitely coming into the career, like I remember going to my first Olympics, like there were so many people telling me like I'm gonna win. And so it was locked in my mind that like it doesn't matter if I'm 18 years old, I have to win because everybody's telling me I'm gonna win and I have to and I can't disappoint them. But I would definitely tell myself that God's plan is so much bigger than what my plan is for myself and his the things that he can do are going to succeed what I even plan to do. So that would be my number one tip to my younger self.
I love that because so often we have such high expectations for ourselves, or we are so hard on ourselves when we fall short of our own personal goals or the goals that our loved
Yeah,
ones set for us. But then when you zoom out and you look at the bigger picture and realize, okay, there's a lot more to this story here, and it all makes sense in hindsight, right?
exactly.
Exactly. Vashti Cunningham, thank you so much for taking the time today. It's been such a pleasure talking to you, and I'm wishing you nothing but success as you continue this journey and with Worlds coming up and all that, and we'll be watching.
Thank you so much. I really had a great time talking to you as well.
Thank you. This has been another episode of Her Playbook brought to you by Kendra Scott, the jewelry company that's shining bright and doing good. Shop jewelry styles designed for every day and every occasion at your local Kendra Scott store or kendrascott.com.